Mark and John, the Dad Podcast crew, sharing laughs, advice, and stories just for you. Mark and John, the dads you'll adore. Tune in for fun, there's always more. Parenting tips and some dad jokes too. Join the ride with Mark and John, it's all brand new. Mark and John, the dads you'll adore. Laughter and wisdom, come explore. So grab your headphones, don't miss the show. Mark and John, where good vibes flow.
Hello, good day, kia ora, and welcome back to the podcast Dads with Mark
and John.
Joke.
I used to identify as a wolf, but I'm okay now.
Jeez, that's barking, that joke. Right, today's sponsor is
Thistle Bakes, based in Palmerston North, New Zealand. For all your baking needs, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Instagram, and TikTok.
Nice. They do some awesome cookies and some what's there?
Some brownies, some cookies,
some
some cupcakes, and other festive treats.
And
coming up
tortoise,
next year.
for us Scottish, anybody that's Scottish that lives in New Zealand, some awesome tortoise scones.
Totty, aye.
You love a tortoise scone, don't you?
Oh.
Do you know what a
Wee
totty
egg.
is? Any of the New Zealanders will be like, what's a totty?
You need to watch what you're saying.
Potato.
You need to watch what you're saying with
Potato.
You need to watch what you're saying with Totty, because I said Tatty and it came across.
That's
Thought I was saying
else.
something else, so yep.
Well,
Playing words.
There's the same a joke to that, because a while ago, when I first came to New Zealand, the New Zealand word is, oh, sweet as, bro. And so I was texting somebody, and I texted them sweet ass. Because I was trying to emphasise, I was trying to emphasise the word as, and it wasn't until I read it back. I was like, oh.
Just try to get into the way of people's cultures and how they speak, and yeah.
That's it.
Sweet
Embrace
ass.
the culture. That's it. Right. Today's show is going to be about John, so we're going to deep dive into John. So the idea is about the show is everybody's got a story. We've all got a story to tell, and today we're going to dive into John's story.
Sweet. Let's go for it. Sweet as, man.
So, tell us, where did it all start for John? Where did you get brought up?
I was brought up in the East End of Glasgow, a place called Dalmarnock. Pretty rough, pretty poor area.
Not Paris.
Definitely not Paris, no. But yep, Dalmarnock East End, as I said, wasn't known for being the bright lights of Glasgow. It was a pretty scary area.
So, what was life like growing up in Dalmarnock? Glowing up, I was stumbling there because you said
we're glowing now. That was the start of the glow, innit? That was the start of the glow. No, growing up was pretty difficult, to be honest. It wasn't an enjoyable time. Brought up in at the time, no knowing, but pretty poor. Lot of drug addicts and alcoholics, people standing at the corners and that, yeah. So yeah, it's not something. It became the norm. It wasn't a place for me. That's just the way it was.
So you grew up and that's all you know, and you just think that's normal. So that's life, in it. So.
Aye, exactly.
So what's kind of your youngest memory?
Oh, youngest memory was me and my mother sitting on the window ledge as my dad actually left us, and I can just remember watching him go and not understanding what was going on, and actually just keep expecting me to turn around and look back, but there was nothing. It was just pretty sad that that's your earliest memory, but yeah, that's it is what it is, you know what I mean?
You can't change it.
Can't change it, no.
That's it. So tell us about yourself. So growing up in Glasgow, you've got some brothers and that as well, so tell us about that.
Yep, I've got a couple of younger brothers. My mother met somebody else and had a couple more kids. That's my brothers. I've had a pretty good relationship. There was obviously a bit of age gap, and obviously age gap, growing up at different times in your life. So I think we were pretty close. I think we were close because of the way we were brought up. You know what I mean? I was always, obviously I'm the oldest, so I always kind of, as an older child, I always feel like you've got a wee bit more responsibility, and probably sometimes I had a wee bit too much responsibility. I mean, kind of looking after the kids and stuff, like my brothers and that, and.
So what kind of responsibility did you have then?
Well, my middle brother, who's 5 years younger than me, it was more like take your brother with you. So he was always with me, and which was good because it was easy. You know what I mean, again, it's just I felt is what I was meant to do anyway. It's my responsibility. It wasn't always fun because he's 5 years younger than me, as I said. So you feel like you're always babysitting, so you couldn't be free almost, you know. And then my other brother, who's, doing my maths here, 96, 85, 11 year.
Get your fingers out.
11, aye, he's 11 year younger than me. Used to kind of look after him when he was a baby. I used to change him and put him in bed and stuff like that. Again, stuff probably shouldn't have been doing. I should have been living my own life, but I was helping it. And I was happy to do it because I loved them. I love them. My brothers and sisters.
So where was your mum at this time? What was she doing?
She was mostly working. She worked quite a lot. She worked long hours, and then maybe at night she kind of had her own social events. So if she wanted to go to bingo or whatever or stuff like that. I get that. She obviously had her own things as well. But yeah, the person who my mother had the kids to, he was he'd issues with alcohol addiction as well, and couldn't do anything. His breakfast was 4 cans of lager beer, and it was the same at night when we were in the house as well. It was like if my mother was going anywhere, he had to have his cans before she could go anywhere. So he had to have his cans. So I was on babysitting duties.
No,
They're pretty young as well.
That's where our stories are similar as well. You know, and that's again how the podcast came about because our stories are the same, and it's actually frightening how normal that is in Scotland. You know, like because like, as you say, your father-in-law,
Well,
would it be, or your stepdad?
Stepdad,
Sorry, your stepdad it would be. So your stepdad, you know, they were obviously drinking, and that's what my mum did. You know, like my mum would have a diamond white in the morning. You know, that was, and I just saw that as normal. I didn't know any different. And that, you know, she would have a diamond white, and she'd be sitting drinking all the time. And you don't question that as a kid. You just see it happening, didn't you? And
that's it. It becomes the normal. Right? I think it's just some people just can't deal with being an adult. They can't deal with responsibilities, and they just escape, and that's their escapism.
That's their escape, yeah. And again, it's also common in Scotland. It's not just also common in Scotland. It's common in New Zealand as well. You know, and that's again why we wanted, and Australia. You know, we want to obviously change these things, and from what we've seen, we want to try and help, and you know, and
that's all we can do is talk about our experiences and where we've came from, because in Scotland, in my opinion, it's crazy because in Scotland you need an excuse why you're not drinking.
No.
Not why you're having a drink, it's why you're not drinking. And you're like, I don't want to.
See, I get that all the time because, you know, John and I don't drink. I've never drank. And I get asked it all the time in Scotland. People don't believe it. Not in Scotland. I mean, here, like people say to me, or they'll get you like a gift. Maybe they'll say, oh, you know, there's a bottle of whiskey or there's some beer, and I'm like, I don't drink. And they're like, oh, a Scotsman that doesn't drink. You know what I mean? And
that's stereotype.
and people are actually surprised by it. And then again, they've got to ask you, well, why don't you drink? So you've got to give a reason why you don't drink. And you're like, well, I've got my own reasons for that. So
I think people, when you say don't drink, it just straight to the, oh, you must have a drink issue or previous drink issues, but it's just for us as well. We've seen what it can do to people's lives.
We've seen the effects and stuff like that, and that's not a life I wanted to have. You know, I wanted to have all the good things, and you know, again, we'll talk about role models and stuff, and again, I'll look at why I chose not to drink. But you know, I mean, this show's about you, so let's go more into detail on that, John. So anyway, tell us a bit more. So
I know. Worries. So I grew up in Dalmarnock, as I said. I lived there until I was probably about 15. But in the meantime, I went to school there, and my way of coping as well was like, well, not coping because, as I said, it became normal. But my way of dealing with other things was playing football. I had a love for football. Just give me a ball and I was out. Honestly, all days, kids nowadays, you hardly see with football. But when I was younger, that's all I did. Literally, day to night, I'd kick a ball constantly. I'd kick a ball. Yeah.
it's the same. Well,
I
I
know.
used to play football outside all the time, kicking the ball about, and hopefully the other didn't catch that glass getting smashed. People will be like, you're filming this in a pub and there's somebody throwing a jug of beer.
Just shut up.
That's not that. What that noise was, if you did hear it, is the Christmas decorations going up. So, and that wasn't my knees either. Oh, we've got a guest in the show. Hiya, come on up, come and say hello. Isla, come on up. That's right. Come on, hello. Come and say hello to the camera. Come and say hello to the camera. Hello. Look, there's other people. Like, hello. Say hello, Kiora.
Yeah.
Oh, a wee introduction.
Almost finished. Say hello to me.
Right.
Uh-oh.
And we're back after that little interruption. Sorry, we've changed the scenery a little bit as well after the dog came in and interrupted.
Alive.
Anyway,
Recording.
real life. We did say we're going to try and not edit as much as possible. We want to keep it real, and the dog
Can you get any
interrupted.
real than that? No, that's
the
fine.
dog. Sorry, the dog.
It's the same thing.
Let's see. So, back to yourself, John. So, growing up, obviously your brothers and stuff like that. And so, how did you feel? Because you were almost acting as an adult, weren't you, looking after your brother?
Well, as I said, it was normal for me. It was only actually when I got a bit older and I was going out with friends and stuff like that, and they were commenting. They're always commenting. They were saying, "How old are you? Relax. There shouldn't be stuff you're worrying about. You're only 18 here. You're not 40. I mean, well, oh yeah.
You sure?
No, yeah. Well,
I'll
I'm
pay
not. So, but no, it was, as I said at the time, it was just the normal. You didn't realise what you were doing and stuff like that, responsibilities you were taking on, because it became the normal, and you just thought that was life.
That's it. But a lot of things that we talk about now is time's so valuable, and it's like there's nothing that, like, time's something that no one can give you back. So once you've used that time, you can't get it back.
It's the greatest gift you can give. I mean, something you spoke about.
And again, we're giving our time for the show and stuff like that, and this is time we'll never get again, you know, and we're hopefully using our time wisely to try and help other people, you know. Hopefully it does. So.
Definitely.
So, so going a wee bit more. So, tell us about your working life. When you started. So, what age were you when you started working? And
When I was younger, I had a couple of jobs, just in and out, just couldn't settle, blah blah blah. And then eventually at 17, I started working with the local council, which was good. I enjoyed it because every day was different. You were working with real characters. I mean, you were working with men. I mean, I was still only a boy. Learning a lot from them as well. Always good. But no, working life was good for me. Again, you talk about escapism. For me, that was escaping, just getting out into the working world. Yeah, but 17, did that for almost, give me away my age, almost 20 odd years.
So how did you get into work?
How did I get into that work? Again, it was just at school and doing pretty well. I got my qualifications and stuff like that, and schools were introducing you to careers officers and stuff like that, and you're going to go and see them and having interviews. And I went to the local careers office, put me forward for it, went for interviews, and lucky enough to get a job. That's something I feel like I was always good at, was kind of talking, but
'Cause something that I can see now, looking at our kids and stuff like that, is it's difficult to get jobs, and nobody really wants to help you into work, and I had a few avenues open to me, which I'll go into later, but for now, there's not many options for kids to get into work, and it is difficult for them. So, again, we want to help as best as we can, but, it's not an easy thing getting into work, and that's, you obviously had assistance from the careers office and stuff like that to help you get there. So, you spoke a while ago about that you went to the army, so...
Oh, that was prior to that. That was prior to the account. So yeah, that was kind of a short spell. Yep, just went to the army at 16. Done my basic training, and while I was there, my gran passed away. That was my mother's mother. My mother didn't cope too well with it, so I thought it was my duty almost to go back and kind of support them. There was a lot of kind of guilt when I went to the army actually, because I felt like, as I said, I felt like I helped raise my brothers, so I almost felt a bit guilty about doing that as well. I felt like I'd abandoned them a bit, So I was thriving in the army. I was doing well. I done really good. I kind of came out my shell because I felt like I went into my shell after secondary. When I went into secondary school, I felt like, I'll go back. When I was in primary school, I felt like I was a bit of a boy, I was always tall and stuff like that, so I felt like quite confident in primary school. But when you go to secondary school, when there's people the same size as you and there's people louder than you, I kind of went out of my shell a wee bit. The army brought me out of my shell, because I had to go and do it myself. I was standing on my own 2 feet, you know what I mean? So I couldn't go out of my shell.
So what kind of stuff did you do in the army?
It was stuff that you probably should know before you go, but it was learning about your basic hygiene, showering in the morning, changing your underwear, brushing your teeth, installing discipline. If they tell you to do something, you have to do it, because that's the way it works in life. You need discipline. You need to be able to. If you say you're going to do something, you need to be disciplined to carry it out, and that's something the army installed in me. You have to be up at a certain time. You have to have a certain level of fitness. You have to be able to speak out. You have to be able to stand up, and that's the kind of stuff I did learn. Yeah. And as I said, I was thriving in it, but my mother, I remember the call I got from her, and I could hear in her voice and that, and after that I was just basically, I need to go out here, I need to go back. And as I said, there was always that sense in me that I'd abandoned my brothers, and they were the most important to me that time, that and my parents.
So what age were they when you were?
My middle brother would have been 11, and my youngest would have been 6. So definitely. So yeah, I left the army, came back, and kind of had a couple of jobs and that, and then I ended up in the local council. Done that for 20 odd years. Loved it.
20 years, showing your age there.
Yes, definitely.
Some paper on.
Long paper. But no, I've always kind of been lucky in work. I've always kind of enjoyed what I'm doing. I feel like I'm easy to talk to and stuff like that, and people can open up and stuff like that. So I feel I've always had good relationships in work. Working life's never really been an issue. Maybe sometimes lose a bit of enjoyment in it, but on a whole, I've been lucky.
So tell us a little bit about your own family life,
Yep.
How you got.
So I joined the council 2003. Met my wife, my partner at the time, in September. That September. In Glasgow, there's a holiday in September. It's called the September weekend. So you get the Friday and the Monday off. I'm not actually sure what the holiday's actually for. Maybe look into that. But there's a holiday, and I was meant to be going away. I was meant to be going down south to England, to Blackpool. Some event with work didn't happen. So I ended up going out that weekend with a couple of mates. I actually met my future wife there that night. And we did the usual stuff, the dating and stuff like that, and then we started a relationship, and yeah, and we were together 18 months, I think, and we had our daughter, our youngest daughter. Yeah. My wife's been a big saving grace for me as well. She's kind of kept me in the straight and narrow. I feel, I'd want to touch on this as well, I feel like when we were growing up, and I don't know, I think you'll maybe agree with this, like, I always felt like the man's opinion always was the most important. Obviously, not the father, but I don't know, it was just the way the world was, but I felt like so when it came to me and my wife's relationship, I always felt like that was the boss. My wife wanted to tell me pretty bluntly that I was never the boss, and I was always being manipulated.
We can see that now. I don't know if, does that show up in the camera? Deb sees thumbnail. Look.
No.
It's like that national lottery. It's you.
No, so I was easily manipulated, but
she didn't manipulate. She's not manipulating, is she?
No.
Deb's is good. She's
keeping
you on the straight and narrow, isn't she?
Definitely. I know she has. She's kept me there. She's been my saving grace, to be honest.
But again, the idea we're going to tell our story, and like John, you're telling yours just now, but it's the past that it affects the decisions you make, doesn't it? The scenarios that's happened, and like there was it The Lion King, where the guy, he whacks him with a stick, and then he goes, "Oh, what did you do that for?" And then he goes to hit him with it again, and he moves out of the way. So you've learned something, and that's what we learn from the past, the things that happen in our past, and sometimes that actually has not a positive reaction, but has a negative reaction, because you act in a certain way in a scenario because of you're maybe protecting yourself from something and that, and
close down or whatever, shut yourself down.
So that's, again, this is all about the learnings that we want to make with making the podcast and stuff. So
100%. And talking about it as well, know that it will not happen again, but talking about it lets people, as we spoke about earlier, know that they're not doing it alone as well. Because as much as I'm not a big fan of social media, like we can use it for good as well. Like, for instance, getting this message out there to people, and just letting people know they're not alone as well. But yeah.
So, when did you feel that a move was something that you wanted to do?
When I was younger, I always said I loved for Australia. I just had a fascination with it.
Jeez, the Kiwis are going to love you right now. You had a love for Australia, but you found the best place in the world, didn't you, eventually?
Eventually, no, I had a love for Australia. My grandfather at the time, he'd family who'd immigrated in the £10 ticket. A few of our audience will remember that. And he used to tell me stories about it and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. The sunshine. Did you think about the sunshine? But it was actually very difficult to get to Australia, and it wasn't possible for us, just because of qualifications I had at the time, and it actually kind of pushed me to go and get some qualifications, and that into kind of progressing my job. But for future planning, future proofing, was to try and help me with the move here, because me and my wife at the time, from a very young age, always fancied it. Always wanted to maybe live abroad, and we soon that Australia wasn't going to happen, so we thought, where else could we look? In New Zealand kind of ticked a lot of boxes for us. There's outdoor living, similar kind of scenery and landmarks of Scotland, career opportunities, and yeah, it ticked a lot of boxes for us. And so then the natural progression for us was New Zealand. Then my wife fell pregnant with my daughter, I kind of put that in the back burner, and then life just got in the way. I mean, you're living your life. It didn't get in the way. Sorry, we're just living the life, because we were all about travelling and wanting to build a life for ourselves, try and go and get our own place and stuff like that. So life just got in the way, and you're enjoying your life, and it just didn't happen. And then COVID happened, and it just kicked our behinds into action, and spoke to an immigration advisor, and we took it from there, and yeah, here we are today.
So you like, so did you, like, what was your financial situation as a young kid, and then progressing into your own family? How's that panned out for you?
Well, as I said, when we were young, we were very poor. No, yeah, we were very poor, and we're always getting, we called them the Provi loans.
The Provi checks.
Aye, so and that was another thing. We were younger as well. You had these people in your house collecting money as well. Used to be the machines. Used to get in the back of the TV. You'd put the pound coins into
My gran had one of them.
the TVs. Aye, so I just remember it for an early age. Just thinking, I don't want to live like this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be better. And so young, being poor, and then I was always taught to look after my money and be careful with it, and that was from my grandfather again. If you live within your means, basically.
Look after the pennies, and the pounds will look after themselves.
Aye. So we saved and stuff like that, and at the time, I think when we got our first house, it was after the first the recession of 2018. So the markets crashed, and the place we got was pretty reduced and considerably for what it was, because it was like a new build. So it reduced it pretty much. I was in an apartment in a close. And
You moved up in the world really quickly.
when we did, aye. But again, it's like people judged you for that as well. You get judged because you're like, you think you're better than people and stuff like that. But what people don't understand, Mark, is that they can have these things, and it's lifestyle choices. I decided that I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to smoke. I didn't want to go and do that lifestyle. I wanted to have a life. And it's possible for anybody who wants to have. It's about lifestyle choices.
So, like, I'll touch on that later. Everything's a choice. Every decision you make is a choice. You don't have to do things, and you choose that path. So, yeah.
I've got people even today. It's like, I'll speak to them and I'm like, oh, you coming out tomorrow? Like, oh, I don't know, because I'm going out tonight, and I'll be hungover tomorrow, and I'm like, but you don't need to be.
You know, that's it.
Just because you're going out these places, it doesn't mean you have to sit and get in a state that you're going to be suffering the next day. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what the European countries do well. They can socialise without drinking. And I wish that I kind of had that environment, and that, well, because when you don't drink, you don't get invited to a lot of social events. So what's the point in asking them? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had that here. So you know, it's not just isolated to Scotland. I mean, I've seen that happen here. The fact that you don't drink, you don't get invited, and you don't drink, there's no point in inviting you. Or you know, I remember working for a company here, and you know, I wasn't even asked if I wanted to go to watch the cricket. You know, everyone else went. Everyone else went to watch the cricket, and I'm working away, and I'm like, oh, where is everyone? And they were all going to the cricket, and one of the boys said, oh, where's Mark? And he's like, oh, I didn't invite him because he doesn't like the cricket. But you're like, well, why not? You know what I mean? Like, what difference does that make? You know, so.
I think people forget it's not just about the cricket, is it? It's about the
About
bonding.
the bonding and stuff like that.
That's it.
All stuff that we'll talk about, obviously, your past life as well. You know, like when you're younger, it's the bonding opportunities that you've missed. Because obviously you were being an adult, looking after your brothers and stuff like that. So yeah,
definitely. Because as I said, when at these events as well, like I've been out plenty of times and I've not drunk and had a great time. But the thing is, I think with people with the drink is that we don't want somebody sober listening into all of these, because people open up when they're drunk. They tell the truth when they've got a drink in them. You know what I mean? They kind of loose lips in it. But so people don't really want you running about that, because you're hearing what they're saying.
That's it. People don't want to tell you their thoughts, and we're openly doing it just now. We're telling people our thoughts, and it's only a good thing, I think. Anyway, it's only good, especially for us men. You know, we need to talk more, and you know, so.
This podcast as well, like, for as much as we're trying to help others, it's about helping ourselves as well. And I'm not going to lie, talking about stuff, it opens up. It's a bit hurtful and stuff like that, but it's true, and it is what it is. And to move forward, you need to get by the past, because there is definitely, like somebody said this to me one time, about 3 points in time. There's like the past, the present, and the future, and there's only one of them that's true and it exists, and it's the present.
It's here and now.
And I'm trying to live my life like that now, you know, and try to learn ways to live that way, because it's easy to slip back into that person, to think about the past and stuff like that. Some people just can't, and that's one thing as well. You need to be careful of being surrounded by people like that as well. And unfortunately, growing up, I was surrounded by a lot of negative people. Even to this day, I was surrounded by a lot of negative people. Yeah. But yeah, there was a lot of negativity, and it drowns you. It drowns your spirit. I mean, and, it can almost take you under with them. You know what I mean? If you allow it. And that was one thing me and my wife we did. We put boundaries in, because you need to break the cycle, you know. You need to somebody needs to kind of, and I've read posts as well where people say the person who breaks the cycle always is deemed to be the bad one. There's no conforming to the way others lived their life previously, so they're seen to be in the kind of. But it's no, for me, life's about progression. It's all about. You talked about earlier about that about the water and passing on the. But passing on, so it's a progression, and allowing the next generation to be better than what you are. No better, but
Learned.
You know,
they want not just to have the not like. I'd love my daughter to have all my knowledge, so that she doesn't make the same mistakes I've made. You know, and like, if we can learn something, you're like, if we can pass that on, they don't have to make that same mistake. You know, like there's lots of mistakes that we've made that we can say here's the good and the bad, and then it's up to you to make that choice. Because at the end of the day, everyone has a choice to make. Like we've already said, you can either take this path in life and this is where it'll lead you, or you can take this path in life and this is where that'll lead you. And it's totally up to you. You know, I've got so many paths I could have took as a kid, and you know, if I didn't take the path I did, I probably would never have made it to New Zealand. So
every twist and turn is taking you somewhere, but you don't realise it at the time. And unfortunately, you can't buy experience. It's something you learn all the years. And as when you're younger, if you're lucky enough to have someone in your life who is trying to give you advice, it's having the humility to listen, because we don't always listen when we're younger, because we know best, I mean, as well, a lot of time. But also having the ability to listen as well is a good trait to have. So they say, isn't it, 2 years, one mouth, for a reason.
Definitely.
Have the ability to listen.
So let's talk about your move to New Zealand. So what was that like? How did you find that? And you know, what was your thought process? How were you feeling as it was getting closer once you'd made that decision? And
I was actually a bit anxious, because when I was coming over, I had to come over myself for 8 weeks, so that was always in the back of my mind. I had no issues really with like letting people know and telling people, because at that point, me and my wife and my kids, it was about us. You know what I mean? It was like it was our future. So I had no issue telling people, telling folk. It actually turned out that most people were actually alright. The ones that weren't were the ones I knew who weren't going to be. But
So are you happy to talk about the ones that weren't happy for you and the reasons why?
the ones that weren't was mostly my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, there's probably selfish reasons. They're only going to see us. They're only going to see the grandkids, which is understandable to a degree. But they weren't in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
They were never. We lived close to them and never seen them. But the second that we're saying we're going to get, everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't happy about it. But the ones that were happy was because the ones that were happy was that I had a couple of friends as well. Like, you go to make a chat, you go to take that opportunity, because it's better to know it. It's better to know than rather be regretting
later on.
later on and what could have been, and
No, you don't want to die with regrets. That's what the saying is, isn't it? You don't want to
Aye.
die with regrets.
Definitely.
And, like, the long and short of it is, we're all going to die at some point. So you make, and I mean, you only get one life, and you got to live it to the fullest. You know, and it's like, I can't believe, you know, John and I are going to obviously show our age here, but we're both 40. You know, like, we're both 40 or coming up for coming up for 40. You know, and you're like,
later stage of 30s. Let's just
I
say.
can't believe that. I still remember my mum's 40th birthday and thinking, oh, she's dead old. But that's the way my daughter looks at me now. I'm dead old and I don't even feel old. But you're like, you think about it, that do you think you'll make 80? And you're like, have I lived half of my life? Possibly. So
It's a touchy subject, death, isn't it? But and that's why you need to, as you say, live it, because you need to have you go have that fulfilment, and you go to leave your legacy, and you're in your, not necessarily in kids. It doesn't have to, legacy doesn't have to be in your children, but stuff like this. I mean, being that inspiration to people, and it doesn't have to even be on this level. It can be just being a neighbour or a friend. I mean, and giving them guidance. But if you're halfway through your life as well. That's the thing you talk about. It's time, innit? Again, it's time. You can't. You can go to a bank and check how much when you've got in an account, but you can't. There's nobody to say, right, how long have I got left? I mean, and that's what you kind of need to live your life.
That's it.
For every day.
Like, life's just an upturned egg timer. As soon as you're born, it's upside down, and it's just
timer started.
That's it. It's a countdown to the end, and you have to, like, that's one of the ideas of why we wanted to do the podcast, is because for every lesson that we've learned, you know, like, because there's stuff that I want to talk about in future episodes about even financial decisions that you've made that has cost you time. Like, it's cost you, because I feel like, oh, if I never made that decision, I could have done this earlier or sooner, and you know, and you know, there's these decisions have set you back, and you just hope that if you share your story, somebody else can say, maybe they might be in that situation now, and it helps them make a better decision, and you know, like, so yeah, so that's other stuff we want to talk about in future, but so
It's first and foremost, you need to look after yourself. It's like that saying when you're on the plane, you need to put your own life jacket on first before you can help anybody else. You need to get your own feet steady. You know what I mean? You need to be on the right path yourself. But and that's what we're trying to be here. I mean, trying to help people to be in that position.
So getting to New Zealand, so what was it like when you first arrived, and what were you thinking of the place? And
Loved it. It was an instant love. I think it was just the change as well, like just the pace of life. It was a bit more slower, which was good, because it allowed me. I felt when I was in the when I was living excuse me, in Glasgow, I felt like I could never think. It's just everywhere, everybody's in a rush to get nowhere. Couldn't think straight, and he was constantly, but if I do this, he's going to say that, and if I take her there, I can't go here. It's like we'd have things, you know what I mean? But in New Zealand, it was just like, just so calm. He was just at peace. I loved it. We were lucky enough to meet yourself as well, and your family as well, and welcomed us as well, which made it a lot easier as well. Settle in. It made it easier as well to make the move as well. Made it a bit difficult as well because you had built that relationship as well, having to move away, because me and Mark live opposite sides of the North Island. The transition was pretty straightforward actually, because it's what we wanted. We'd put the effort in, we'd learn what we wanted to do and stuff like that, and how we wanted to live. So it was pretty easy. But it's a bit difficult with the visas and stuff like that, because at the time it was, even before we got here, it was COVID times. So there was a bit of, sometimes you felt like you were waiting a lifetime, but it was maybe not that long, but it felt it, because you had to wait for the borders to open, and then you had to wait for them to announce the different visa changes, because there was so I had 3 visas before I got here. I came on the critical purpose visa, that was to last a year, and then I had to come on the accredited work visa, which was meant to last another year, and then I got my residency. So all that was a wee bit stressful, but again, you knew it was there, and you knew it was coming, because I'd done my kind of homework with that, and I had the immigration advice and stuff like that. So it was pretty easy, and then it was just a bit matter of starting again, wasn't it? And that can be scary. I mean, that was probably the scariest thing, starting again. It was scary, the thought of starting again and got a new place, but it was also exciting as well. I think some things both of them can be pretty similar. Nervous and excited and scared, they're all kind of similar feelings. But I know I loved it here, kind of thrived as well.
What changes, what differences did you see in New Zealand? So, like, obviously you've had 2 spells here, which we want to talk about as well. So, obviously, let's talk about the first spell and why it didn't work. But then let's talk about then why you returned and the feelings behind that as well. And
You're good.
I'm not good.
No, the first time, as I said, got here, had a couple of wee issues with visas and stuff like that, but it kind of worked out. But it didn't work out for my daughter. My oldest daughter, she kind of struggled with the weight. She couldn't study, she couldn't work or anything like that, so she felt like she was twiddling her thumbs.
That's it, you're a bit restricted, didn't you?
Which kind of had an effect on the rest of us, because we're a package, you know, and I was at working or whatever, and my wife at the time, she was kind of...
Because, like, sorry to interrupt you there, John, but what I want you to try and describe is that if someone else is, like, there's obviously people that will be interested in the podcast because they might want to make this move and they'll maybe be in the same situation with older kids. So, like, because, you know, your oldest daughter is how old?
She's 19, she's almost 20.
So, what, like, working age or like higher education age. So, and then you've got, you know, your middle daughter's
14,
and then your boy
is 6. Yeah.
6. So you've got a variety of age groups there. So
a lot of boxes to tick.
But it's all good because everybody they'll relate to because you're a lot of tough decisions to make. You know, like you've got somebody that's older. You know, your oldest. And then you've got someone that's in the middle, and then you've got someone that's at the beginning. Yeah. And 100%. You know, so you've got to again make a decision on
for all of them,
for everybody. So
I know, and that's the that's the responsibility of being a parent. In it, it's understanding what's right for your kids. Because my oldest daughter at the time, she was keen when we first spoke about it. But as she got a wee bit older and stuff like that, and she got a bit like, I don't know about this kind of thing. But that's responsibility again about being a parent, is knowing what's right for your kids as well, and try to do the best what you think's right for them. But yeah, we looked at all the positives, the kind of pros and cons and stuff like that, and we just felt like it was the best option for us all. I think the time we did leave to come to New Zealand, my daughter had her reservations, and she came because she came more for us than herself, I think, you know.
Because it is a bit that, there's a saying, buyer's remorse, and you almost, sometimes the more time you got to think about something, like I'll talk about my feelings before I left, but it's so easy to get cold feet, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Because you start to think about it, the brain goes into overdrive, and again, it's just the way we work. You start to think about every single potential scenario, and
Definitely. But yeah, she had her reservations for Skimore, and then so we said to her, look, get a year, give yourself a year at least, and we'll hopefully we'll have everything in place, and you can drive, but just try to explain to her about the opportunities she could have here, like, and because I definitely believe in New Zealand, you can literally go and do you obviously out with certain jobs, but I think honestly, cause there's opportunities here. People, there's the one thing in New Zealand there's not a lot less people. So if you're willing and able and you're keen and want to put the effort in, I seriously believe that you could do anything in New Zealand. And that's what I tried to kind of speak to my daughter about, and I think that's what got her here the first time. And then we were kind of, I don't want to say let down, but we were one of thousands who kind of get messed up with the visas a wee bit. But again, it was like hard times. It was COVID, and we're dealing with it. So yeah, she gave it the year, and she said, I don't want to be here in New Zealand. And obviously before that, we kind of knew their feelings, but she came out and she was like, I don't want to be here, I want to go home and stuff like that. And I was like, to my wife, and I was like, I don't know what to do, what we do it. And the end result was we all went home. We all taken about a tour home, seen a few places, because we thought, we're not going to be this side of the world again, let's go and see a bit.
And that's again, this again, like what I spoke about earlier about the big financial decisions the decisions that you make that set you back a little bit, because it's a costly.
No, it costs a fortune.
It's not like a cheap thing to do. I'm looking at trying to go back as well, and spend even just a holiday there, but even just going for a few weeks to see friends and families. It's a lot of money, but obviously you done a little bit of sightseeing and stuff when you went back, and
Go to see
stopped over in a few other countries, and
I've seen a few places. We were lucky, aye.
Because you left with the intention that you want to go and come back.
I left with the intention of coming back because I was like, I don't know if I can do this again. You know what I mean? It's like,
Sucker for punishment.
Aye. See, the thing is, see when you're in that place as well, it's like you try and seek that bit of familiarity, a bit of, because we spoke about it as well. You kind of glorify things, isn't it? Something that wouldn't be that good, you glorify it because you're in that place. You're not thinking straight. And I was probably just like, looking at the comfort of familiarity, and I knew I was going back to my job. I could go back to a job and no worries and stuff like that. And because before I left, we were quite comfortable. We had a comfortable life. But it just felt like there was no progression. I felt like I'd reached my max there, as well. That's one of the reasons we came as well. So yeah, we went back. As soon as we got back, literally the second we got back, because we actually had to fly into Manchester with 12 bags when we went back.
12 suitcases.
12 suitcases.
How did you manage that? You're the last celebrity. People will be like, "Who's that, man?"
That was a tough one. Honestly, that was tough. So we went back on the 12 suitcases, and anyway, so when we flew,
3 suitcases each.
and we two kids as well. It was tough. I 2 kids and obviously my oldest daughter, but it was tough. But we actually, because we travelled a bit and stuff like that, we had to kind of be careful because we were getting really overpriced. That's another thing. Like with suitcases and stuff like that. Like sometimes when we're getting flights, the bags were more expensive than us, the passengers. So yeah.
Because what did you ship the first time? So you shipped some personal stuff.
Mere
the first
personal
time,
items,
yeah.
aye, like wedding photos and wee bits and pieces that we'd picked up over the years, like kind of sentimental value. We brought over just a couple of bits of furniture. But again, it's expensive. It's expensive. So. And that had to go back. Not all of it, but some of it had to go back. So that, and then, as I said, we left. We'd seen a wee bit of the world because we thought we weren't going to come this side. But when we got back, it was pretty evident that we didn't fit in there anymore. We'd actually grew more than we actually knew. We had more of a sense of who we were and what we wanted from life, and unfortunately Glasgow just didn't tick the boxes.
Because you made a couple of big decisions when you went back to Glasgow as well, because you bought another house, didn't you?
We bought a house because we had an intention to stay there. That was it. That was the intention. Let's make a go of this again, because as much as my daughter was one of the big things going back, as I said to you earlier, I've always wanted to help, and when I came here the first time, I was still in close contact with family and brothers and parents and other people as well, and they had their struggles, and me and my wife were like, let's go back then. If we're going back, we'll try it. That's another reason we can go back. We could try and help them. They didn't want to help. See, to help somebody, they want the help. And they didn't want it.
You can take the horse to water, you can make a drink.
So we'd done that and went back, and that was pretty evident that it got worse. Nothing was changing. And at that point, we still had our boundaries. We still knew, as I said, we knew how we wanted to live. And some people didn't like it, parents. When they threw words in our faces like, we're not good enough for yous, you think it better. It wasn't the case. It was just we had set up, we'd lived our life differently. And unfortunately, it was turning that we wanted to live a life better, or we thought we were better than them. It wasn't the case. That was never the issue. If that was the case, why would we want to still maintain that relationship?
No,
You know what I mean?
But that's only their interpretation of things, and like we're seen as that the cow wants to go into the next field because it's green, the grass is greener. But we want to see what life's opportunity. We want to see what's out there. We want to get out the box. And again, we looked at you. This is just our feelings towards it. Is you feel that people look at you differently because you want to do something different. We don't want to be in that norm situation where drinking and the drugs and the living in poverty and stuff like that. And that's we lived a life that we lived in minus. That's where we lived off credit cards and an overdraft in the bank, and that's just what life was. You know what I mean? And that's tough. You know what I mean? And I wanted away from that, and likewise yourself. So.
I liked the conversation me and you had as well, and when you said about making new norms.
New norms, that's it. No.
And that's what it's about, isn't it? It's like knowing that life's not always going to be the same, because, listen, life wasn't all bad. I had a good life because we chose to live a life, and I was happy in my house and stuff like that. It was just obviously other things. But yeah, it's just making new normals and knowing that you can do that as well. It's an option. It doesn't have to always be, because that's the thing is as well. People get stuck in a rut and think this is it when it's no. Again, it's about recognising it as well, Mark. I know a lot of people can. I didn't for a long time. I didn't recognise that I was an anxious person. I had depression sometimes as well. I was struggling with my mental health. I didn't realise. I couldn't I couldn't actually work out because it became normal. That
Yeah,
was me. I felt that was me when it wasn't me. But see, the thing is, see when I started to realise it as well was when I did speak it, and I did speak to, because I've had counselling as well, and when I was having counselling, they were saying that's no,
no,
don't want to say right, but you shouldn't be feeling that. That isn't something, because the feelings that you're feeling is the life that you're living as well. It's just normal to you, but sorry, aye. So it's just it's a tough one with mental health, and sometimes recognising it. When I recognised it, actually got worse for me because it was like I started to get a bit angry with it, and I'm like, why have I wasted all this time? Why have I wasted this time feeling like this and want to help people and give my time to them as well? And it was never ever returned, ever. Nothing. I don't even mean returned as in with their time. It was never. It was always short term help. It was always back to square one, as they say. I mean, with them, and when I feel like I wasted my time, and it's something that, as you
we'll
say,
obviously link some numbers and people that you can speak to if you're feeling depressed and stuff like that. And
I'll put description
to
and
talk
stuff.
back again, that's why we're not specialists or anything like that. Or,
No,
we
definitely
don't
not.
do. We're just two guys that want to talk about it, and we want to talk about these natural feelings that happen. And I've been depressed as well. And again, I didn't realise until I was sitting on the toilet one day and I was flicking through my phone, and I was like, "What?" Every one of the symptoms were the same symptoms I had, and I was like, you get that sense of actually. Didn't think I'd ever be depressed, or I would, and you're like, oh, I've ticked every box here, and and then again you want to talk about it, and
100%.
can I just ask you, because you obviously spoke to someone, you went and got some help, so how did you feel about that initial going to speak to them and reaching out, and so how did you feel about it? What made you eventually take the jump, and were you anxious about it? And
Yeah, well, I came back from New Zealand, I'd got my new job and stuff like that, well, back at my old one, excuse me, and I was struggling, Mark. I was like, my feelings are being back, and my relationships, I'd bought a house and it turned out to be an absolute pitfall. Everything needed work done on it and stuff, a lot of work we need, and then I was trying to work as well, so I was literally, couldn't cope. I literally couldn't cope. I felt like, apparently your mind can only deal with up to like 5 things before you start getting overwhelmed. For me, I think it maybe 2 or 3, but I'm like an average person. So I was getting a bit overwhelmed, and actually spoke out, and I was saying I'm struggling to somebody in confidence, and they said, take time out, take a bit of time out. And I taken some time away from work, and I felt amazing. No, amazing. I felt better. I felt like I can breathe, but it was only short term because life catches up with you again.
you want to go back,
And then so I actually get more time off, and actually my work offered me some counselling. I was like, I don't need counselling. I'll deal with this myself. I've always dealt with things, but.
The reason I wanted to ask you about the counselling was because, like, a big part of the show is we hopefully we can relate to people in the same, the same walks of life and the same mindset and stuff. Because, like, I remember being offered counselling when I was doing the earthquake repairs in Christchurch, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to go and speak to a counsellor because they've now lived the same life I've lived. They can't relate to anything that I've related to. They've not had the same life. They're obviously fortunate because they're in a position of being a counsellor and they've got money, and so how would they ever be able to help me? So what was your what was that kind of similar thoughts for you, or?
For me, no. For me, it was somebody to talk to. Someone that I didn't know who I felt was going to judge me.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, at the end of the day, as humans, we judge.
We judge.
We don't mean it. It's just it's a natural reaction. We do it
Oh.
without even thinking.
Well, I mean, look at the way social media set up. Even YouTube, you can either like something or thumbs up or thumbs down, you know what I mean? So, by the way, like, follow, share, subscribe, all that lovely stuff. Be nice to us, please.
Gonna like me?
Judges.
Aye.
Anyway.
Good.
Oh, sorry for jumping in.
No. For me, it was about being able to speak to somebody who wasn't going to pass judgment, who was impartial, and I just thought, if I go to lose, I just felt really in a place that I was fortunate enough never to feel suicidal or anything. I'd never been that bad. I just felt I don't want to feel like this anymore. I need some help.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to doctors, and the first thing they wanted to do was give you antidepressants, and I've seen what that does to certain people. I'm not saying it doesn't. Listen, people do what they've got to do, but for me, that was the answer. My way was working out, exercise, but that's only short term. When you're out doing the exercise, the working, it helps. But the counselling helped for me.
Is there some stuff there that she spoke about that helped you? What was the kind of the things that she or he did that made you feel better?
They listened. First and foremost, they listened. There was no judgment. One thing the counsellors do, they kind of gather the information as well. They let you talk, and then they evaluate. You know what I mean? So, first of all, it was good to get the validation that what you're feeling is merited, because I wasn't just feeling it for, and that's one thing people have got to realise is, and all, when you're feeling this way, you're feeling it for a reason. You know, it's an emotion in it. You feel what you feel, and that's what I've been told before. You feel what you feel. You can't control that. I mean, that a feeling it's just it's human again. It's nature. And for her to kind of validate what I was feeling, it made it feel a wee bit like I'm not insane. I'm not like this isn't just in my head here. Do you know what I mean? And then she gave me some life skills to kind of put into place, like journaling and other journaling and sorry, I can't remember what the word for it. It was the this when you're listening, meditation and stuff like that, and stuff to listen to as well, and she talked about self-care as well. Like there's so many forms of self-care, like even a simple one, but just turning everything off and just sitting and just
silence.
That's it. And because life is fast-paced, it is, and we don't give ourselves enough time.
But like, that's one of the reasons I love New Zealand as well, though. Like, there's so many places you can go and just, like, take in the life as its rawness, you know, like you can go and, like, Queenstown's a wonderful place, you know, like I love golf and stuff, and you can go there and you can just take in this spectacular scenery and just enjoy the sound of, you know, like, nature. You know, and
Just
you know, and you kind of get a signal on your phone, which is fantastic because you've got nobody that can bother you, and you can just take in life, and that's one of the biggest causes of stress is social media. Everything now is in front of everybody, everyone's there, and you know, like, and I love getting away. You know, we went to Rarotonga for 7 nighs. And again, you can't really get a signal there. It's like a little island the size of Millport in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and you're like, I remember flying in, and the pilot's like, oh, you know, we're coming to land. If you look at the right side, you'll see that. And I'm like, I can see the sea, and then there's this little dot, and you're like, are we going to land here? You know, we're in this huge big plane, and you're like. And it's great because it's a tiny little island, and I mean it takes 20 minutes to drive around it, and it's literally 3 hours from anywhere. But you go there and you can just switch off completely, and you can just ignore the world for you know the time that you're there. And I actually really enjoyed that, the fact that I couldn't you know get much contact with the outside world and stuff, because you know that does the sad fact about it is that life can be easy. It's actually people that make it difficult.
Definitely.
And again, that's why we want to try and help and make it easier. And it's just a shame that it's actually people that make it difficult. It's people that add stress to you, and people like, for me, decisions are easy to make. Like, you can make a decision, and I want to help people out, but some people don't see that. Some people, their life is literally want to try and make other people's life hell. And you're like, why? Like, I just don't understand it, you know. Like, and again, that's the whole reason not the whole, but part of the reason why we're doing a show is because I want to understand why someone wants to be so negative in life, you know, like what's happened in their life, because everybody, again, has a story.
Yes, sir.
And I want, again, if we want to obviously reach out to people to come on the show, you know, because everyone's got a story to tell, you know, like there's, you know, obviously people that can come on the show and that have came from a certain lifestyle that has improved their life, and we want to hear their stories as well, because
That's
we
inspiration.
want to share all these good stories, and
That's what we're here for. Inspiring, encouraging, that's it.
we want to hear all the positive stuff, because, you know, life can be good, you know, and we just need to, you know, like,
Help
move
people
forward.
find-
So
help people find that, because like our generation is probably the last generation before phones and social media. You know what it's like if you were younger and you had an argument with a friend, and if you had an argument with a friend or anything, you'd leave it at that and you'd go your separate ways. Nowadays, if you have an argument with a friend, it's on the phone straight away, back and forth. It can't be left alone. So as much as social media has got its benefits, for instance, like what we're doing as well, it has got a lot to answer for, because people are in a bad state.
Because like what you said, so you said that people text back and forth. Like I talk about this with Ronnie, is people don't talk like what we're doing. People don't actually physically talk. It's hiding behind it. It's so easy to hide behind a keyboard and type something. And again, even because, like, you know, I was a project manager before I owned my own business, and you're like, an email was like, you might send an email and you've thought happy and you've wrote it a certain way, but it's interpreted by the person that reads it, and they might not be in a good frame of mind that day, and they read it totally different to the way that you've written it.
No, I just
And then they think, oh, you're on, and it's, you know, it's taken totally out of context, and you're like, oh, I don't understand what happened there. And that's why talking's actually easier. You talk, and people can, like, what I do with my business is I present every quote verbally, because I want to see the reaction of a client. I want to see, you know, I want them to understand what's fully included in the cost, so that they can fully understand what I'm giving them. You know, and whereas if something's in writing, people don't really know. And they kind of take it all in, and they might think, oh, that's expensive, or that's really cheap, and not. But you know, if you can, I walk them through the project. This is what I've included this, and the talking helps them make a decision. And as long as you fully understand it, and talking's easier than it is writing, I feel, and that's the modern day world is people. They type stuff and they don't really care about the emotions involved in it.
That's as you said. There's no emotion to a message, and there is no context. People can read it completely wrong, and that leads to like miscommunication in it, and that's one of the big causes of people's relationship breaking up and not having a great is not being able to communicate properly and to be able to talk. And that takes a lot of courage to be able to speak to somebody as well, because some people are just not very confrontational. They can't deal with stuff like that, and again, hopefully try and give people the encouragement to be able to speak out and speak up, because at the end of the day, it's your happiness, it's your life you're dealing with here, and you're in control of that, right? Unfortunately, you're in control of that, and you need to take ownership.
So, you bought a house that needed a lot of work done to it.
Yeah,
So from there,
lucky enough, my wife's very handy. She's quite good with DIY. She managed to do most of the work. I obviously helped make the tea and that, and sandwiches.
So you made the tea for the person who was making the coffee.
Aye. Right. So yep, done that.
That's how I've got water.
I'll take a wee sip. No, my wife's very handy with DIY and stuff like that, and she done a lot of the work when I was at when I was working. Obviously, when you're doing it yourself, it's a bit slower, which again can be quite stressful. Coming home to a building site and your kids in a building site as well, you're feeling a bit like, oh gosh, what am I doing, man? Again, putting stress on yourself, putting pressure on yourself.
So I'm going to get into a little bit of sales pitch here. So like I own a renovations company, and what we do is we try and take the stress out of it, because when you put a plan together, so we understand the project and we put a plan together, and we do the project so that you don't, after you go to work and you do what you do to make money, and this is what we do to make money, and you know, you're not coming home. You're coming home to a building site, but you know how long it's going to last. Instead of, because like as most tradies will understand, you never get your own project done. You know, and it's so difficult, like you said, when you're doing it yourself. And like if you don't have any knowledge of doing a renovation, like it's like you do a little bit and then you realise, oh, I should have done that first, or I should have done, you know, like, and, you know, and it's a big weight on your own shoulders, the fact that you've got, you know, like, because you've got all these aspects of a project that you need to do that sometimes you feel like you're getting nowhere, whereas if you employ someone to do it, we come in, we put a timeline to it, and we come in and we get it done. It's what we do every day, so we fully know everything that's involved in it. But anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was pretty stressful, as I said, with the renovation work going on. But
You should have employed Refresh, is that what you're saying?
But as much as it was difficult, it kind of gave us time to, because in difficult times as well, so you need to come together as well and chat, and it did bring us together in a strange way, because the rooms weren't all decorated, so the kids had to sit with us, and we all kind of sat in chairs and we got a laugh, and we like, let's stay to this, and we kind of brought us together even more a wee bit, and it gave you a chance to think as well and talk, and I was actually renovating that house up when we made the decision as well. Me and my wife said to me, what's happening? Are you happy and stuff like that? And I was like, thinking that I was saying the right thing for her to hear. I was like, no, everything's going fine. But I was kind of, no, I was not in a good place. I mean, you're trying to kind of protect other people, sacrificing how you're feeling to make sure you're not putting anybody else under any undue stress. Nothing. But we ended up like, we were honest with each other, and I had a conversation, and she said, I never missed Glasgow when I was in New Zealand, but I miss New Zealand now that I'm in Glasgow. And that was enough for me. That was it. And I was like, if only again we did that communication. But beforehand, don't get it wrong with me, I think maybe we needed to go back, because it kind of answered
opened your eyes a little bit. Yeah. So like, I know, like I'd obviously tried to offer you advice and guidance and stuff, but again, it's just like what we said earlier. Like sometimes you've got to do it for yourself to, you know, see that the answer's yourself. You know, sometimes you got to let your kids go and fall off a bike so that they understand, you know, that this is the consequences and stuff. And so yep,
got the house in a position where we could sell it. Sold it, and yeah, we returned to New Zealand. Fortunately enough, we had a lot of support from my cousin as well. I mentioned it, her cousin. She supported us. We stayed with her for a bit as well, and during and after the housework, and we decided that it was time to go. It was a bit difficult because my daughter decided to stay in Scotland, which we fully supported. We had to realise that she was in a position where she was an adult, and we installed values in her, and it was time for her to go and live those values as well, and obviously make her own, but the groundwork and the good.
So that reminds me of a conversation that you and I had, and I said to you that like, you wanted to come to New Zealand, and your parents thought differently of that, but now you're a parent and your daughter wants to be in Glasgow, and you're now at the other side of that, and I was like, you have to let her make her own decisions, because she might come to New Zealand but then want to travel somewhere else, and it's not a thought process you've got at the time when you're thinking about the move to New Zealand. But then when you're on the opposite end of that, you're like, it's difficult, but again, you've got to try and let them go, you've got to let them fly the nest, and again, it's not an easy decision to make, because, you're tight-knit family as well. And
definitely, aye. You're sitting on the other side of the fence, and you can understand from that point of view, but no, we feel like, and this is a pretty strong statement, but I feel like what I learned from my parents is what not to do. And I feel like we passed that on to our kids, and I feel like she's in a good place. She's strong. She can stand on her own 2 feet. Something I couldn't do. As much as I did go out and do it, but I done it not in a strong place, not mentally anyway. But I feel like our kids are mentally strong, and she's in a good place to go and do it.
Yep, and I said this to you as well. The door's open for her to come back.
No, 100%.
She can always come back to New Zealand. She's got the option to now come and either move back or come on holiday in New Zealand, and and that can only be a good thing.
No, definitely. That's the thing as well. Like with New Zealand as well, like it's a big achievement. Do you know what I mean? And I'm fortunate enough to do it twice, and because it does take a bit of work and a bit of gumption, a bit of bottle to go and do it, because it's the amount of people I've spoke to said, "Oh, I'd love to do that," but they just kind of take that step to do it.
It's a difficult thing to do, which people don't understand. Like people that haven't done it can't relate, because it's a huge thing to do. So
definitely, because you're stepping out your comfort zone as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about my story shortly, but yeah, it's not. It's a massive step in your life, and it's like you do it for your reasons, and so now you're back. How do you feel that how long have you been back now?
We've been back 3 months. 3 months.
Right.
Everything's gone well. Mark, the second we stepped off the plane, we felt we were home. We felt that we'd been on holiday. That was the general feeling. Me and my wife.
Mike was there to meet you at the plane.
Aye, that's what me and my wife spoke about. The second we'd literally got our stuff, our bags, a lot less bags this time. It's only 3 or 4 bags with a bag each. We had
Took all your bags of guilt with you.
Aye, took a bag of guilt and dropped them back over in Glasgow. No, we had 4 bags, and we'd went and got our bags and stuff like that, and we'd literally stepped to the airport, and we just looked at each other and just went, this feels like home. We felt like we'd been on holiday.
When you've arrived back home.
Aye.
See, people might not understand this, but when you're in Glasgow, when I was in Glasgow, when I was in Scotland living, you go on holiday, and you couldn't wait to get away on holiday. You always look forward to going home. It's good to get back to normality, but there's always that dread, go back home, and it's usually when you land back in Scotland or Glasgow, it's raining. And you're like, you know, like you're dressed in shorts and t-shirts. The Scottish are terrible at stuff like that. Like, you go on holiday, when you leave, you've still got gloves and hats, and you arrive and it's roasting outside. But you do the opposite on the way back. You've got shorts and t-shirt on, and you arrive back in Scotland, and you end up with frostbite before you get to the end of the jetty in the airport.
No, it can be.
But again, the point I was trying to make there was that when we go on holiday here, so when we go away to Rarotonga, in Fiji and Australia and stuff like that, when you arrive back, it's just as exciting. You're happy that you're back, and I said to my wife when we arrived back from our last holiday, it's not a bad place to come back to. You know, like the sun was out, it was nice and warm, and you know, and then you're like, it's not getting that same doom and gloom to it that you know that Scotland had, and you're like, you know, like I always had that same, like, I love Christchurch. I know I don't live there now, but like I love Christchurch as a place, and like I felt that was home to us. You know, like I always had that feeling at home, and I get that here as well in the Waikato, but. Yeah, it's got that homely. You feel this is where I'm supposed to be, and I had that when I made the move to New Zealand. I always had the draw to come here. I had the draw to come here. There was something drawing me here, and now that I'm here, I know this is home. This is my spiritual place to be. Is here. So
you talk about, just nice for you to say that, because that was one thing we liked about here. It did feel very spiritual. It felt like you were connected to the earth as well. You felt like. You spoke about it as well, how you feel really close to nature. And this might actually be a bit off topic, but birds and it actually come close to you here, and the animals, they're all near you and stuff like that. You actually feel like you're living together, rather than in Scotland it felt like humans and animals. As if they were like, but here it feels like everything lives together, even with the culture. It just felt very spiritual and very, very connected to earth as well. That's one thing we like to do as well. And you spoke about feeling at home here. It actually took for me to leave and then to come back to actually confirm that. I mean, and I'm lucky that we had the chance to come back, because it could have been easily just that's it. But we were strong-willed, and maybe again a wee bit lack of communication. We could have come back sooner, but again, I believe you're meant to be where you're meant to be, and whatever you're meant to be doing, you'll get there.
Because you mentioned something to me a while ago that you and your wife thought the same thing, but just didn't want to say it, and then eventually you said that. Are you feeling the same way I'm feeling? And that's kind of when you opened up to each other and said, you know, like, I do miss New Zealand and stuff like that.
Because, see, when we left the first time, my wife said to me, if we go back, this is it, we need to change, and we need to... But see, the problem was, Mark, we didn't have to change. It wasn't us that had to change. And we realised that when we went back, it wasn't us that was the problem. And then it was actually, it took, because and the words were in my mind all the time, because my wife's like, if we're going back, we're going to change and we're going to get a go again. So I thought she was in a place where she didn't want to try again, and I think it was more the thought of maybe leaving my daughter. But it actually took for my wife to say, well, both of us kind of saying, but it was more my wife that kind of instigated it. And yeah, we eventually kind of got to the conversation of both of us missing here, and yeah. And we're fortunate enough to be back here and back where we feel we belong.
And you've not looked back since?
Not looked back since. There's one thing I miss about Scotland, and it's just the football. That's it.
Nah,
I still,
we'll not talk about that.
we'll not go
It's a
there.
touchy
We'll
subject.
not go there. That it's a touchy one. But no, I miss the
I'll tell
football.
you something that is good, but like Scotland are actually doing well, and like I love that.
That's what I was talking about, the national team.
What are you talking about the national team? Well, I was talking about St Mirren.
Paisley boy, yes, it was, aye. And I was talking about Partick. On the Jags.
No, but I mean Scotland are doing really well, and you know the good thing is some of the games are on when we get up in the morning, so you can watch them in the morning. And like again, that it's something I did talk to you about. Was it's difficult because when you leave, you know that you're not going to go and be able to see the football again, and but you make a new norm, you know, and that was something I said to you at the time. You make a new norm, and you know I've got to get up during the night to watch the games, and it is difficult. But you know there was supporters clubs, especially in Christchurch. The Christchurch supporters club was good.
Supporters clubs in Christchurch. God, I said, didn't realise it was so well travelled.
Well, it was only me, but but no, I mean it was good to have the supporters club, and I'll obviously come out in the washer with support, you know, like, but we support Scotland as well.
Aye, that's
and
it.
You know that's the big thing about it is, you know, when I was in Rarotonga, the Scotland game was on, and I managed to get a signal so that you remember you streamed the game, and I'm trying to watch the game backwards on your phone. And it was pretty difficult, but I mean, at the end of the day, we got beat by Germany and stuff like that, and it was pretty disappointing. But I mean, it was great to see Scotland in a major championship again, and so. Aye, so, but again, coaching, people don't understand coaching, and people are really quick to criticise coaches, and they've go and do it, go and be a coach, go and literally be a coach, see how difficult it is, and then cast your judgment then once you've done it.
In any form, coaching.
In any form, that's it. And if you want to judge us and stuff like that, that's you're more than welcome to judge us, but you know, come and try it, come and sit in front of a camera and see how difficult it is, and it's not easy, and it's definitely not easy to tell your story. So thanks for telling us your story, John. And
no, it's just a part of the story. We talk about time. Hopefully we've got a long time to go, and the life choices I make now are for my next generation, my children. So yeah, taking a bit of a long way to get here, and not even just distance, time. Taking a long. But I feel like I'm in the right place now.
It's never too late, innit? It's never too late. I mean, it's the making the decision that's the hard part. Once you've made that decision, you just go with it, and
life
you jump in 2 foot, you get in.
And life, there's always going to be hurdles. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I love analogies. I love coming up with analogies and stuff, and it's the same. It's how, like when you've got kids and that, it's try to get them in the bath. But then once they're in the bath, it's then try to get them out the bath. You know what I mean? And you're you know, like it's they don't want to go in, but then they don't want to come out, and that's just the way life is. Like you know, as an adult, that you know, like you'll love it when you're in, and they get them in, and then they don't want to come out, and you know, like so you know, we know that's what the whole idea of the show is. We know what the what it's like, so we're trying to give you a sense of what our feelings are and how it worked for us, and hopefully it helps them hopefully it makes you guys make the right decisions, the decisions that you want to make. So
thanks Mark, it was good, I enjoyed that. It wasn't as stressful as I thought it would be.
You know,
You're pretty kind.
Was it? Well, so on you next time.
Oh, yep.
So, is there anything else that you feel that you can help, you know, that your past's helped you plan your future, or it's helped you make decisions, or is there anything there that you want to discuss that you feel needs to be discussed?
It's just what I said. Unfortunately, what I learned from my parents is how not to be. But again, it is what it is. Sometimes, like, it doesn't matter what kind of horn you're dealt, you just... There's always a way. There's always a way out. You know, there'll always be a path as long as you're willing to speak out. And we're lucky enough now that we've got that much information. We've got that many support groups that we can have a good life and have that fulfilment. And yeah,
that's it. I mean, so that's we're just about the end of this episode, and it's free. It's free to like, follow, share, and subscribe.
Yep.
And comment and tell us how you feel, and you know, like, the more you interact with us, the more that we can then interact with you, and you know, like, we want to help. That's the whole idea about it, isn't it? It's help, and it's free, and it's a good thing about nowadays is you don't have to go and pay to speak to, you know, a therapist, and we want to put our feelings out there and our scenarios out there so that you can watch and hopefully relate, and if what we've said can help you, then that's what we want, innit? We want to try and be able to help, so and it's free to do it, and you know, give us a like, and you know, we'll hopefully point you in the right direction and stuff like that. So
we want to be doing this. This is what we feel like is our calling, and our, and for us to continue doing that.
My name's Mark, not Colin.
It's not what I call you. And for us to continue doing this, we the only support we ask for is as Mark said, is just to like, follow, and share.
That's all we ask for, yeah. Yep. And if you want more than that, you tell us what you want, and you know, what you want, what you really, really want, and we'll help you out.
And I'm happy to share today because one of the things I like today is to hear people's stories and life stories, and to do that, it's good that we can share ours as well, you know what I mean? And
yeah, I like, again, that's what, you know, what we spoke about earlier. It's the stories you want to hear. Everybody's got a story. Everybody, people judge you in the now. Like, people judge me and they'll think, oh, you've always been that way, and like, I definitely wasn't. Like, I was never like that, and people think, oh, you've always had money, or you're rich, but yeah, I'm not, and you know, like, you know, and it's once you've walked in your footsteps, it's like being a manager as well. You're a manager as well, and people think you've always been a manager, but they don't realise that everything that you've had to do to get there, you know. And
exactly.
so, and again, it's just
that's it. People can only see what's in front of them. It's just it's that again, humility. Asking questions. Yeah, I mean, just say, how did you get here? How did it?
Just as you said, you know, I love hearing people's stories. You know, I enjoy hearing people's stories, and we've got a lot of topics that we'll cover, and stuff like that, and like the things that they've done to help their life and progress their life and stuff like that. So, you know, there's a lot of things that we'll talk about in future episodes, and you know, and once we've done our little bit of talking about ourselves, we'll then, you know, dive into other topics, and you know, and John will come up with some other jokes. Are you all right now?
It's better than that egg thing. What was that?
Wait, or no eggs were harmed in the making of that joke, by the way.
Oh, I ate them, so.
Did you scramble? Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Thanks.
You'll be glad you watched John and Mark bubbling lads, uncomfortable around on the podcast dads, just watching smart lads, dedicated dads, real guys, frank guys, your life on storytelling guys, real living guys in conversation every other day, just watch them right up your alley, so bring a little ray of light into your day. I ain't ashamed to say I like them. John and Mark capture everyday challenges in a relaxed manner every other day, searching life stories, blood talking hellish feelings daily, exploring ugly living snakes of the world. It's a devious old world, the game of life worth exploring, sweat dripping talk, awkward talk, life stories articulate in a sophisticated way, yet naive in an ordinary way. You'll be glad you watch John and Mark bubbling lads, uncomfortable around them, the podcast dads, just watch some smart lads, dedicated dads, real guys, right guys, real life and storytelling guys, real living guys in conversation every other day, just watch them right up your alley, so bring a little ray of light into your day. I ain't ashamed to say I like to Dalmarnock, capture everyday challenges in a relaxed manner every other day. Searching life stories, blood talking, hellish feelings daily, exploring ugly living snakes of the world. It's a devious old world, the game of life worth exploring. Sweat dripping, talk over talk, life stories articulate in a sophisticated way, yet naive in an ordinary way. Dalmarnock, capture everyday challenges in a relaxed manner every other day. Searching life stories, blood talking, hellish feelings daily, exploring ugly living snakes of the world. It's a devious old world, the game of life worth exploring. Sweat dripping, talk, awkward talk, life stories articulate in a sophisticated way, yet naive in an ordinary